Hello from the Norfolk Haldeman Community Hospice. My name is Maureen. If you're here with us for the first time, we're glad you're here. And if you're back again, thanks for coming out today. This week in our series, we're going to talk about ceremony and about memory making. Both elements that are important in helping us with our healing and helping us honor and celebrate the one we love. Come on, let's walk together again today. Let's start with defining our use of the word ceremony. For our purposes today, I'm going to describe ceremony as an act of observance, which may include ritual. It may follow cultural, religious, or public protocol. It may be something uniquely created to meet the needs of our own mourning, of what we ourselves need, or what the people around us might need. There's a saying often used in times of grief and bereavement that tells us when words are inadequate, we need ceremony. Ceremony, whether at the time of dying, death, or bereavement, gives us a place and a space to express the often difficult and unpredictable feelings and emotions that come with experiencing deep loss. It gives us an opportunity to mourn, again, the outward expression of our grief, and it gives us an opportunity to honor the one that we love. Ceremony gives us form or a container to hold us when we may not even be sure on how to hold ourselves. Some examples of ceremony for the dying and for the deceased include singing, chanting, prayer, blessing of the hands, memory sharing circles, washing of the body, celebration of life, whether that's before or after a passing, a wake, a funeral, a eulogy. Again, ceremonies can align with our cultural, our societal, and our religious beliefs, or it can be something that we create specifically, again, for our own unique self. The important thing is, when a loved one dies, to engage in something that defines and marks a time of transcendence, whether that be transcendence in a spiritual connection or simply meaning the transcendence of going from life to death. We need to step away from a time of the everyday and acknowledge the loss in our life, to honor and to remember the life of our loved one, because you know what? Because that's worth remembering. We need to be able to stop and say, you know, my loved one has died, and my life has changed. My world has changed. Changed it in ways that I probably don't even fully understand or can't comprehend. It's our time when ceremony helps us and give words to a time when words seems insufficient. Ceremony can help us do that. We've got a friend with us today. My goodness, I mean, human beings, they've been marking the time of death dating back to tens of thousands of years, where bodies were found, you know, so carefully placed in burial grounds, and sometimes, you know, decorated with beads or antlers or animal bones. But because even then, we innately knew that it was so important and that we needed to honor our dying, the death of the ones that we love. We needed to honor ourselves, and we needed ceremony. In one of our early videos together, I talked about how in North America we find ourselves leaning towards a trend in not wanting to engage as much in funerals for the ones that we love. We want to focus on the good times and not so much the sadness. We don't want to think of seeing our loved ones in pain or upset or weeping. We want to celebrate life rather than mourn life. And that's okay. We need to celebrate life. But again, death is sad. Even if it's an expected death or a death that relieves suffering, it's still sad. And there's, again, like I said, a boatload of emotions that come along with that. Our life has changed, and we're no longer the same person we used to be, and we no longer have that person in our lives. So we need to be able to express our sadness too. And you know, we can express the difficult and painful feelings that come with the death of a loved one and still celebrate their life. They don't need to be exclusive of each other. A meaningful ceremony allows for both to coexist. And in coexisting, we begin to lay the foundation for healing. I'm going to say that again. A meaningful ceremony allows for both to coexist. And in that coexisting, we begin to lay the foundation for healing. Again, grief, it calls for us to be brave. Be brave in expressing rather than suppressing all those feelings that move within us. It takes courage. You can do it. I believe in you. You can do it. Ceremony, whether it is as we journey with our dying loved one upon their death or in our own time of bereavement, meaningful ceremony can help provide us a container, a safe space to do the following things. It helps us acknowledge the new reality that we're faced with. It gives us opportunity to honor and remember our loved one's life and their living. It provides us an opportunity to come together and support each other and to allow others to support us. Ceremony gives us an opportunity to express that which needs to be expressed. Moving our feelings from sitting heavy in our hearts and in our body to a place of movement and action. Again, better out than in. In ceremony, we are offered a time and a place to search for meaning. And I know that might sound strange, but we need to be able to ask those questions. Did our person, did they have a good life? What was their life about? Why did they die? What is death? And I know those are huge questions. Those are big things we may never have answers to. But we need the space to be able to reflect upon those and to be able to ponder and to be able to question. Meaningful ceremony can serve as a place for us to move from what was to what is. I'm going to say that again as well. Meaningful ceremony can serve as a place for us to move from what was to what is. It can be a marker in time where we step away from the everyday and allow ourselves to acknowledge the significant time in our lives. The dying and death of our loved one, it's monumentous in our life, and it should be. It changes lives, and we need to be able to spend time with that. Ceremonies can be both healthy and healing. They serve as the container to hold us when we most need to be held. Okay, so I want to finish this part anyway, by saying Whether you sing your loved one through their transition, whether you pray them through, create a circle of memory sharing, have a funeral, a celebration of life, a wake, a eulogy, whatever you do, for goodness sakes, for your own sake of healing, stop and take the time to do something that allows you to express. And for the sake of your loved one, take the time. Take the time to stop and move away from the everyday to acknowledge that they mattered. To acknowledge their life, it mattered. Ceremony can be where healing starts. Okay, before we get to our next part on memorials, I want to take a breath break as we do every week. And again, I'm going to say it to you again. I can't see you, you can see me, so don't be shy. Big breath. Breathe it in, all the magic and medicine that nature has to offer. Good. Good. All right. Okay, so for our purposes again today, we are going to define memorial as something that commemorates the life and the living of someone who has passed. Creating a memorial for our loved one serves in not only helping us to honor and remember them, but also helps in providing us an outlet to express our own grief. Examples of memorials can be a grave marker or a bench, a obituary, a monument, a song or a poem written for a person, a piece of art, a statue, or a garden, which we're going to create today. In creating a memorial garden, you don't have to be a master horticulturist. Trust me, because I am not that in any way whatsoever. I can barely usually tell one plant from a weed, but I know that getting my hands in the dirt, that's healing. Plants are healing. And creating a place amongst nature that honors my loved one and my grief, that's healing. And what I've come to learn through the years is that we need to be gentle with ourselves when we're creating a memorial garden. Look for plants or objects that have meaning for you, that bring you joy, or help you to remember and honor your loved one. Find a place that is easily accessible to you. My backyard and place around me here, that's what's going to be conducive to my healing. Think about the conditions that your plants may need, etc. That said, this is where the being gentle with yourself comes in. You may take your time, plant your beautiful plant, make your beautiful garden, and your plant might die. Don't get so bent out of shape that if it does, you're thinking maybe you're not honoring the memory of your loved one. The first memorial garden I created was for my dad. I chose some yellow roses since they were his favorite, and it held beautiful memories for me growing up at home and my dad working in the backyard. So I chose this beautiful rose plant. I prepared the place to put it. I prepared the ground. I gathered my children around, read a poem, and we shared some memories. It was beautiful. It was this ceremony in this moment. It was lovely and meaningful, and it felt good. And then, in the weeks to come, no matter how much I looked after it, that bush died, and I was devastated. I felt like I wasn't honoring my dad, and that memory that I had created didn't have as much value. But after my crying and my little hissy fit, I realized I hadn't dishonored anything. That rose bush, it just didn't make it. And the fact that it died didn't lessen the ceremony or the act of what we did. So I just, I just went out and got another plant. Tried something hard here. Again, you know what? Be gentle with yourself. Remember, it's that act of doing and finding healing and getting down on ourselves. It serves nothing well. I chose this place in my backyard because I spend a lot of time out here and I can see this garden from my window. I have my mom plant, honoring my mom. I know, not original, but it feels good to me. I have, actually just bear with me while I'm going to put this in. I also have a few bulbs which I want to talk about in a minute. Oops, hold on. We're going to put this together. I want to put it in. There we go. Right in the hole I have prepared. So it feels good. It feels good, my hands in the earth. It feels good. No, I got that there from my mom. It's good in my heart. I put bulbs in. I did that a little earlier today. And I put bulbs in as a symbol of hope, reminding me that even after the darkness of winter, something beautiful can emerge. Something beautiful will emerge here, and that'll be my little inspiration of hope as I look through in the dark, gloomy days of winter. I have a light, my little light, to remind me of the light of my mom and dad, who I'm building this garden for. It reminds me that their light, it carries on. It carries on through their children, through my brother and I, and it carries on through their grandchildren. That's their legacy, a legacy of love. I'm going to put that in. Stay with me. Right in here where I can see it. Beautiful. Right. And I also have this memorial stone. And those words bring me comfort. And again, it's not about making a perfect garden. This says Father. See, it's for my dad. It's the same message, so it's for my mom as well. This is what I'm creating today. It's just a simple garden, but again, it can be as simple or as grand as we choose it to be. The importance lies in the act of creating something that's meaningful to you. This is meaningful to me. Something that helps us foster our own expression of grief and provides us a place to stop and spend time with the memory of our loved one. A place where our hearts can begin to heal. This is what this is going to be for me. I'm glad you're here with me for this. All right. I think we're gonna leave it here for today. My hands in the dirt, spending time in nature, creating a place where I can come to and remember, to honor, to reflect, to help heal the grief. In my heart I can feel it. The grief of the deaths of the ones that I love. Thank you. Thank you for being with us here today. We're glad you're here. I'm glad you're here because you matter. Your grief matters. And the life of your loved one, that matters.